the daughter of the vice president, the former vice president, Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney, has withdrawn from the primary, the Republican primary in Wyoming. And in fact, we just picked up a new station in Wyoming. I don't have it on my list here. Must have been last week. Anyway, she has withdrawn from the race, and she's saying family problems. This has, who knows exactly what that means, but I think that she saw that she was losing badly, and it was going to go badly because Mike Enzi looks like he's the Republican who's already holding that seat, and she was basically trying to primary him, trying to do the Tea Party thing like they did in 2012 and 2010, and I don't think the Tea Party thing's going to work in 2014. Because I think the American people have woken up to the Tea Party. They have figured this thing out. They have figured out that these Tea Party groups and these other right-wing groups are, Koch groups, Koch as in K-O-C-H, Koch groups alone raised more in 2012 than candidates spent during an entire 2000 presidential election. Report Rebecca Leber and Andrew Briner over at the Center for American Progress's blog Think Progress. A political network linked to conservative billionaires Charles and David Koch raised at least $407 million in the last election, almost matching Mitt Romney's campaign funds. By comparison, the Koch network raised more than George W. Bush did in 2004 and outdid both presidential candidates in 2000. Wow. How can you have a democracy when money is considered protected by the First Amendment, and the two guys who, if they were one guy, would be the richest or the second richest man on earth, are throwing more, hundreds of millions of dollars or helping pull together hundreds of millions of dollars through organizations that they've helped form to accomplish particular political goals. And among those are things like, promoting libertarianism and promoting the so-called Tea Party. I think people are getting it, that the Tea Party agenda is basically the billionaire agenda, and it's not necessarily the agenda of good Americans, of Americans. I don't mean good Americans. I mean, of average working Americans. Not to say that the Koch brothers are not good Americans. That's not what I meant. Everybody's entitled to their political opinion and to spend the money they want under the law. I think the law should be changed, but that's. But anyhow, I think that Liz Cheney is dropping out of this race because people are catching on, and that's one of the reasons why these guys are having to spend so many hundreds of millions of dollars to accomplish what they have done, which is basically just kind of hold at bay the genuinely progressive nature of America. I mean, you hear this thing in the media all the time, America's a center-right nation. We are not a center-right nation. It's a lie. Ain't true. And all you have to do is just poll people based on the issues that define left and right. Do most Republicans think that long-term unemployment benefits should be extended during a time of recession? Yes. Now, the Republicans are not going to do it, it appears. Eric Cantor, who there's a piece in the Washington Post, was it yesterday or this morning, about how he's the speaker in waiting now, on the expectation that Boehner is going to step down next year and hand the magic gavel over to Eric Cantor, assuming that the Republicans can hold the House. I mean, keep in mind, Democrats got 1.5 million more votes for members of the House of Representatives in the last election than did Republicans. The only reason Republicans hold the House is because of the way that those votes were distributed, because of gerrymandering. But in any case, we'll see. We'll see where this goes. But I think that unemployment insurance, most Americans are with the Democrats on this, and the Democrats are going to start using this as a club against the Republicans, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see Harry Reid is calling for a vote on this today or tomorrow. In the House of Representatives, John Boehner's refusing to, bring it up. And meanwhile, you got 1.3 million people who just lost their unemployment checks. And that's going to cause a drop of 0.4% in our GDP. And people are wondering why the stock market is starting to tremble. Republicans want a crash, and they want it on Obama's watch, so that they can point to it and say, see, this is what you get with a Democrat. But Americans, I really think, and like I said, you can go through the issues. Social Security, Medicare, unemployment, Medicaid. Should pot be decriminalized? Should gay marriage be available? Should women have the right to choose whether or not to get an abortion, at least in the first trimester or the first before viability, which I guess is how it's defined by Roe v. Wade, more or less. The vast majority of Americans agree with all of those positions. Should God be part of America, part of our American politics? When you put it in the context of, well, should there be a 7-foot statue of a goat-headed God at the Oklahoma State House? Most Americans start getting very serious about separation of church and state. This is hysterical. I mean, just give them a chance to think about it a little bit. And what you find is that we are what, I don't know if you could call it center left or even left. I mean, Bernie Sanders, I think, represents the perspective of the mainstream of Americans, and he calls himself a democratic socialist, as in European socialism, not as in Soviet socialism. Like, let's run this country like Denmark. And I'm there with him. So how much more are they going to have to raise? The Washington Post did a great expose on all the, the coctopus, all this network of interlocking companies and ways that billionaires can give money and anonymously and not be known. So there's that.